Hello, today we're going to solve proportions. So we're going to practice our butterfly method of cross multiplying, and you're going to need some room. So if you'd rather write this on an extra sheet of paper, that's fine. You can find this particular assignment on page 3 in your new packet number 5. So I'm going to use the I do and then you do method. I'm going to do number 1, and I'm going to ask you to do number 2 and answer questions about it. So let's get started with number 1. We're going to use the butterfly method, which means I'm going to cross multiply. And my preferred method is to start with the wing that has the variable in it. I don't have to. I could have started with 2 times 18. And because I need extra room, I'm going to write this up here. I'm going to write 12 because we like to see the number first times r. So that's the butterfly wing. Then the butterfly body reminds us to put the equal sign, and the second butterfly wing means that we're multiplying. Remember, it's called cross multiplying. And I can write 2 times 18 or 18 times 2. So 12 times r we prefer to write as 12r. And then 2 times 18, that's going to give me 36. So this should be an equal sign. So now I'm done with my cross multiplying. Now comes the solving step. I'm going to build my wall, either a dotted line or a solid line. I'm going to look at the side that has the variable, and I see 12r. Side by side means multiply, so I'm going to do the opposite. I'm going to divide by 12 on both sides. And this cancels or becomes 1, and my answer is r, and then 36 divided by 12 would be 3. So this means the r would have to be 3 in order for this to be a proportion. The proportion is 2 equal ratios. So 2 over 3 is the same as 12 over 18. Okay, now it's your turn. If I did this butterfly wing, can you tell me what that means? If you said 50 times h, you are correct. What does the butterfly body mean? It means I have to drop down the equal or include the equal. And finally, what does this wing mean? 20 times 5, or if you wrote 5 times 20, that's also good. So now, what would be the resulting equation after I multiply both sides? So we should have 50h equals 100. And now I'd like you to solve and tell me what h equals. When we solve, we have to divide by the number next to the variable, leaving h equals 2. So if you had h equals 2, you are correct. Now let's go to number 3. Okay, number 3 has a little bit of a variance in it. You're going to notice that there's a number next to the variable. And I usually like to start with a butterfly wing that has the variable. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to cross multiply, and I'm going to start with this wing. And what that means is 6 times 3d. We'll discuss that in just a minute. Then my butterfly body means, don't forget that equal. Then I have the other wing, 16 times 9, or 9 times 16. So now I'm to the point that I'm going to multiply. So since this 6 is a number and this 3 is a number, and I'm multiplying, 6 times 3 would be 18, and the d is just going to come along for the ride. That's all I can do is drop it down, 18d. And on this side, 16 times 9 would be 144. So now I'm done cross multiplying. Now I'm ready to solve. I'm ready to find out what d equals. So I'm going to use my solving skills. I'm going to divide both sides by 18. So I'm building my wall, dividing by 18 on both sides. Calculator is very handy when you're doing these. I would suggest it. It turns out that d equals 8. So d would equal 8. And if we look at this, 3 times 8 would be up here. 3 times 8 would be 24. So they're saying that 16 is to 6 as 24 is to 9. And one of the ways I can check if my answer is correct, I think D is 8 and 3 times 8 is 24. That's where I got the 24. I can cross multiply. I already know that 16 times 9 here was 144. But that means that this also has to equal 144. So if you want to pause and use your calculator to say 6 times 24, you will also get 144. So that's a check. What I just did was a check. You do not have to do that step. So now I'm going to have you try number 10. That one's very similar. So would you go down to number 10? All right, if we start this whole cross multiplying process again, if I take 8 and 4K, butterfly wing, that means 8 times 4K. Then the body means I'm putting equal there, and I'm going to do the other wing, which means 20 times 32. Would you please tell me what the result is when I multiply both sides of this equal sign? Hopefully you said that this is 32K, and over here, hopefully you had 640. So now we have to complete our solving step. What should I divide by on both sides? Divide by 32 on both sides. And can you tell me, please, what is the result? What does K equal once I divide? K should equal 20. All right, let's continue the I do, you do with problem number 5. So would you please go to problem number 5 on your paper? All right, and so we're going to quickly move through this one. I'm going to cross multiply. I'm going to choose where the variable is. I prefer that, but you do not have to do that. This is going to be 21 times V. And then my butterfly body is the equal, and then 84 times 2 or 2 times 84, whichever you prefer. So my next step would take 21 times V, and this is as good as that's going to get. We prefer it without the parentheses. I'm going to bring down my equal, and 84 times 2 would give me 168. So next I have to solve. I'm going to drop my wall down. Side by side means multiply, so I do the opposite. I divide by 21 on both sides. And the final solution is V equals 8. So V equals 8. You can pause and write that down. I know I moved through that quickly. What I'd like you to do now is try number 6. For number 6, after you cross multiply, what would be the resulting equation? In other words, what would this step look like after you've done the butterfly method and after you've multiplied? But what would it look like for number 6? All right, 64b on one side and 64 equals 64 on the other side. And again, you could write it as 64 equals 64b. You could switch sides if you wanted to. What is the solution? What does b equal? So b equals 1. Last one we're going to do. So let's go on to number 7. All right, I'd like to try number 7 on your own. These numbers are compatible, so you could probably use the scaling method, but I'd like you to go ahead and try practicing cross multiplying. So please tell me what C equals. Right, so we should, after cross multiplying, have 13C equals 68. Then our final step is to divide by 13, and C equals 6. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you tomorrow. Take care. Bye-bye.